Hello there guys, it's Count here, back here on a video, and today I'm going to do What If Deku Was Abandoned, part 9. Hope you enjoy it. So a quick recap is needed like always, but if you want to know what happened in details, click on I button right here. Anyway, last part we covered the USG attack, and it's not as same as the anime, by 13 getting hurt by her own attack, but when Kurogiri tried to teleport everyone around the USJ, Deku stopped him by kicking him in his weak spot, forcing him to retreat, and that gave them enough time to send Ida to get help. And after Deku saw Aizawa getting injured, he joins the fight. They were able to defeat most of the villains, and after clashing with him a couple of times, they realized that the Numu is strong without a quirk, and Deku 100% is not enough. And when they thought they ran out of option, Todoroki joined in and froze the Numu, and that gave Deku an idea how to defeat him. So he distracted villains as much as he can, and that gave Todoroki another opportunity to use his ice on the Numu and freeze him almost entirely. And Deku took this opportunity, and he used a much powerful spear attack thanks for Shigaraki pressing the All Might button, and with the help of Aizawa's quirk, this attack was more than enough to do severe damage to the Numu. Then All Might come crashing into the USJ, forcing Shigaraki and Kurogiri to run away, but without Shigaraki realizing that Deku hate All Might or something like that. Then the teachers escort them to UA after Deku treated Aizawa and 13's wounds. And when they arrived, Deku was tackled by Nijire because she heard what happened, but Deku was able to calm her down after he assured her that he's okay. And I think that's it for the summary, so let's begin. So we start with Shigaraki just escaping with Kurogiri. Of course they are at the bar, but this time Shigaraki doesn't have bullet holes in his body. And even though he's pissed that the Numu failed, he's more curious about Izuku. And that catch All For One and Kurogiri's attention. So Offran tell him, "What's on your mind, my boy?" Shigaraki tell him, "It's nothing, but the kid that defeated the Numu, when All Might arrived, he wasn't happy. I could go as far as say that he was angry when he saw him. So what are you saying, is he's worthy enough to join us?" Kurogiri asked him. Shigaraki tell him, "I don't know. He have a lot of heroes features, for lack of terms, but you did saw him as well in the fight. He was relentless against the other villains. Sure, there is a lot of heroes like that, but combine that with he feel for All Might, it's just weird. Plus, I never saw a power like his before." And the last sentence catch All For One's attention. Tell him, "What do you mean, Shigaraki?" Shigaraki tell him, "I think he have multiple quirks, almost like you, master. Because he's strong and durable because he was able to stand 2 punches from the Numu, and he was able to shoot this weird energy thing. It's almost like a laser or something. And he can create a spear of light." Everyone stays silent for a few seconds, then All For One tells Shigaraki, "If your saying is true, maybe we can persuade the kid to join us, because someone like him will be a powerful asset to our team. But to stay on the safe side, we have to know what exactly we're dealing with. Kurogiri, do some digging about this kid." Kurogiri nod and tell him, "I will, sir." And for you, Shigaraki, All For One tell him, "Take as much time as you need to rest, and start thinking what is the next step." Meanwhile, back at the USJ, some teachers decide to stay to make sure that villains did not escape. And one of them is President Mike. And while he's escorting some villains, one of them comment that they have to run into Izuku. And when he heard that, President Mike stopped them and tell them, "Izuku, you mean the green hair boy? How do you know him? Answer me." The villain looks shocked and tell him, "He honestly don't know." And here we are thinking that you sent Izuku because you know there will be an ambush. F my luck. President Mike was surprised with this response, but he didn't answer his question, so he asked him again. The villain looked him dead in the eyes and tell him, "You lot are just lucky." Then he was taken by the police, and that leave Mike the same position as Aizawa is, wondering who exactly is Deku. So let's go to Deku's perspective real quick. He just get up after Nijire tackled him to the ground, and he was struggling a bit, and Nijire cut on that. She gave him a hand to get up, and she asked him, "Is everything okay?" Deku sighed and tell her, "Yeah, I'm okay, just a bit tired. I used quite a lot of power." Then Aizawa tell him, "You should go to recovery girl, kid. I did see you hold your hand after the first attack, so it would be better if you let recovery girl check it." Deku was about to say no, but Nijire decided otherwise. She tell him, "Just do it. I know you hate hospitals, but stop being stubborn." Deku sighed and tell her, "Fine, I will go." Then Aizawa tell him, after you finish, go straight to your house. All of you have the rest of the day off. Deku nod and tell him, thanks Mr. Aizawa, and walks off. Nijiri went with him, but she started thinking. He just called Aizawa Mr. Aizawa, the same way he did with Ryuko. That's odd. After that, the two of them go to recovery girl, and after a couple of minutes, she tells him that Deku is fine, with some scratches here and there, so you don't have to worry. Deku looked at Nijiri and tell her, see, I told you. She tell him, yeah, I know, I was just worried. But you always play the tough guy act, so I had to make sure. Deku blushed and he tell her, if this puts your mind at ease, I will be careful next time. Nijiri smiled and tell him, yeah, it does. Anyway, I think you should go back to your class, Deku tell her. She tell him, alright. What about you? Well, you heard Mr. Aizawa. I'll go straight home. Plus, I'm too tired to work. I'm going to call him sick. Nijiri smiled and tell him good luck, and she went on her way. Recovery girl tell Deku you can stay here and rest if you want. Deku shook his head and tell her that I will be more comfortable in my house. Plus, I'm not a big fan of hospitals. Then he went on his way. So fast forward when Deku returned to his house, and he started thinking. Right before he fired his spear at Dunumu, he felt the same way he did when he created the snakes of water in the summer. So he tried his best to recreate it. He was able to do it somewhat, but he's so low in ki that he immediately fell to his knees. Damn it. This is the first time I exhaust myself this much. I should lay down for a while. And after a couple of seconds of Deku laying down, he passed out. Remember, this is the first time Deku exhausts himself this much after he unlocked Ki. So he wasn't ready for this much backlash. And after a couple of hours, Deku started having a weird nightmare. He woke up and he was surrounded by pure darkness. Then he started hearing a voice telling him, weak. Useless, again and again. Then another voice joined in and he said the same thing. But something felt familiar about these voices. It's like he heard them before. Deku power up and tell them, show yourself, cowards! Then once again he heard the voices, but they are behind him. He turned around to see a silhouette of All Might and Bakugo standing side by side, repeating the same words. Useless, weak, just give up already. Then Bakugo slowly raised his head, his eyes glowing red, and tell Deku, die. Then Deku can feel something behind him. He turned around to see the Numu's face coming straight at him. But right before it hit him, he woke up, in cold sweat and gasping for air. Then he turned to himself, damn it, what's up with that nightmare? Then his phone started ringing. He looked at the screen and it's Ryuko. He picked up and he soon realized that she's panicking a bit. She just saw the news about the USJ. She called him before but he wasn't answering. Deku reassured her that he's okay and he was sleeping, that's why he didn't answer before. Ryuko breathed a sigh of relief and asked him where is he right now. He tell her home. They give us the rest of the day off. I see, she tell him. So do you need anything or? Deku laughed a bit and tell her, you worry a bit too much, Miss Ryuko. Don't worry, I have everything. I just need some rest. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. Alright, rest easy. Then they ended the call. Deku smiled and said to himself, they worry a bit too much about me. They have to remember, I'm not weak. Weak, huh? Then he started remembering the dream. Deku got a bit upset and said to himself, just you wait, you two, I'm going to show you who's weak. But his thought process was cut off by his stomach rumbling. Alright, I have to recover, so I have to eat. So let's say fast forward a few hours. So we are in UA. The teacher are in a meeting discussing what happened. Unlike the anime, they suspect that someone leaked the information, but they don't want to point any fingers to anyone without concrete evidence. So the meeting ends with them confirming that the sport festival will not be cancelled. But before everyone leave, President Mike tells Aizawa to stay and Principal Nizu. He has something to tell them. Aizawa tell him about what? It's about Izuku. Aizawa's eyes widened and he sit back down. Seems goes for Principal Nizu. But shockingly, Principal Nizu tell All Might to stay because they want to know what is happening between him and Izuku. Plus they're going to talk about him anyway, so why not? So they start with Mike and he tell them what he heard from the villain. It's almost like they know him and somewhat fear him. Mike tell them. Everyone kept silence and Principal Nizu tell them, I will do a background check on Izuku after this meeting because I think we have the wrong information about him. His files say he's quirkless, but he clearly isn't. Don't bother, Aizawa interject. I already did, and that kid is quirkless. Whatever power he's using is not a quirk. And before he asks, yes, I did use my erasure on him. It didn't work. And that shocked everyone. Well, there are only 4 of them if you include Aizawa. All Might tell him, you're not messing with us. Aizawa shook his head and tell him, you know me, I am not the type who play games. Then All Might start saying to himself, that confirm it. Izuku is that kid that I talked to under the bridge. I messed up big time. So after Principal Nizu snapped out of his shock, he looked at All Might and he see him worried and asked him, is something wrong, All Might? All Might snap out of it and tell him, no, I'm okay. I'm just shocked about this kid having this much power and this kind of power without a quirk. But in the back of his head, he started thinking to himself, this is my mistake, I need to fix it somehow. Then Principal Nizu asked Aizawa, do you have any more information about Izuku? He tell him only a few. I know from the age of 10 he grew up in foster care and his old family name is Midoriya. After that, nothing. Well, except the fact that he lived alone since he was 13. Everyone thought, 13, that's quite young. Then All Might asked Aizawa, does he have any relative close by? Aizawa shook his head and told him no. But I did some digging and found that there is a couple of people that live in America that also have the name Midoriya. Maybe they are related or something, but you know our society. If someone is quirkless, he will get the bare minimum of attention, sometimes none. Then All Might start thinking, America, huh? I still have some connection there, I should ask them. Maybe this way I can fix it. Then Prince Bonizu looked at All Might and told him, so we're done with that matter, so right now we have the last one. The problem between you and Midoriya. What's going on? All Might tell him, I don't know. He doesn't want them to interfere because it is a mistake. He need to fix it. Aizawa tell him, I don't know if you guys met before, but from what I can gather and see, he's not your fan, to say the least. So can you recall you did something to him? Aizawa is looking at All Might really suspicious because he can sense that he's hiding something. All Might tell him, no, I don't recall anything. Then Prince Bonizu tell them, well, I think that's wrapped up this second meeting. Aizawa, keep an eye out for Izuku. Try to figure out what is this power he's using. Because if we go what Mike said, his power will be dangerous. Aizawa not, but he doesn't agree with him. He can feel that Deku is different. Then they exit the meeting room. For a moment he starts walking away, he grabs his phone and starts calling someone. And Aizawa starts looking at him really suspicious. So with that, let's say fast forward the next day. Everyone is in the classroom and Aizawa enter and tell them about the sport festival. And they have 2 weeks to prepare. And they can use UA to train. Deku raises his hand and tell him, is it mandatory to participate in a sport festival? Aizawa looks shocked, seems goes to the rest of the class. Then he tell him, no, don't you want to show your power to the rest of the world? Maybe a pro hero will want you under his wing? Deku shook his head and tell him, getting famous is the last thing on my mind. Plus, I don't need to prove anything to anyone. Well, except All Might. But he didn't say last part. Plus, Deku sees the sport festival as a show, not a real fight. Even though if he win, it will prove nothing to All Might. Remember, this is his perspective. So like I said, everyone is shocked. Aizawa tell him, well, suit yourself, kid. Your name will be on the list, but if you don't want to participate, it's your own choice. Deku just replied by nodding. So fast forward to the end of the class, and the second Aizawa leave the room, everyone jumps on Deku asking him why. Deku tell them, waste of time, plus I don't feel like it. You do you, I don't have anything against it, but I will not participate, for the reason I said before. Then Ida tell him, if you participate you will show the world how great of a hero you are, and how much powerful your quirk is. A small smirk creep on Deku's face and he tell him, yeah, that would be nice, if I had a quirk. Everyone is stunned. What do you mean? Ida ask him. Deku gear up, look him dead in the eyes and tell him, I don't have a quirk, I'm quirkless. Then he walked out the class, leaving everyone more stunned than before. And by the corner of his eyes, Ida saw Bakugo. He looked a mix of shock and anger, but it's mostly shock. They mean his power. Then they start discussing between themselves what Deku told them. Is he actually quirkless? So how is he this strong? We should ask Aizawa, maybe he have some answers. So all of them except for Todoroki and Bakugo want to talk to Aizawa. Todoroki, even though intrigued, he's still giving everyone the cold shoulder. And yes, that include Deku. So everyone want to talk to Aizawa. So when they reach him and ask him, is Deku quirkless? He look visibly worried and tell them, who told you that? Tell them Izuku tell us. So is it true? Is he quirkless? Aizawa sighed and tell them, don't tell this to anyone else. But as far as we can tell, yes, he's quirkless. But no, we don't know what is this power he's using. Meanwhile, Deku is just walking around because he have nothing else to do. Then he meets some Nijiri's classmate. They greeted him, but Deku being Deku in this what if, he told them, oh, it's you guys. Sorry, I'm just passing by. But he was stopped by Yuyu, Nijiri's best friend. And she tell him, wait there, mister. We have some question for you. And Deku can sense this will not end good. So they ask him some personal questions. In regards for how he met Nijire, they basically want to see how he feel about her. And overall they realize there's a bit of similarity between them, mostly in the way they answer. Both of them are honest. Nijire is cheerful, but Deku is a bit more closed off or keep to himself type of guy. But when they start asking the cheesy questions, like what is happening between them and how he truly feel about her, Deku start dodging the questions or not answering at all. But from his body language, they can understand that there is something between them. But their interrogation was cut short by Nijiri joining in and asking them what's going on. Her friend Yuya smiled and tell her, oh, nothing. Just asking him some questions. She tell her, oh really, what type of questions? She looked at Deku, but he immediately turned his head and it's slightly red. Her friend tell her, nothing important really, just the basis. Nijiri being curious, she asked them what are the questions, but you tell her to not worry. Then she asked her about the sport festival. Nijiri got excited and tell her that I will try my best. And this time I'm going to win, while looking at Mirio. Mirio smiled and tell her, well, you can try. Then she walked to Deku and asked him about the school festival. And isn't he excited? Deku tell her about that. I will not participate. Everyone was shocked and tell him why. Then Deku tell him why. Is that rare? I don't feel like it. That's it. Mirio tell him it's not rare, but are you sure? But Niji did not utter a word, and it's out of character for her. Mirio asked her what she's thinking. She looked at him, gave him a smile, then she turned to Deku and tell him, I know why you don't want to participate. You're not a show-off. At least that's what you told me. Plus, you only use your power when it is necessary. The sports festival is not one of them. Am I right? Deku did not utter a word. Then he gave a slight nod. I told you need to learn how to relax. And be less grumpier like Ryuko told you. That's easy said than done. Deku tell her, I know, she replied. Sport festival will be a good opportunity for you to try and have fun using your power, for once. Everyone can see that Deku is starting to think a bit, but he's still adamant to not participate. Then Nijiri add, you know, if you participate, you will experience firsthand how the quirks of not only your classmate, but other students will work. Deku flinched and Nijiri realized that she's getting through to him. Plus, maybe you can find a quirk that you can copy like you did with mine. Plus, it will be a good opportunity for you to test all your tactics. So what do you say? And she getting inches from his face. Deku grumbled a bit and tell her, fine, you win. I will participate. Nijiri took a step back. She was happy, so she started cheering a bit. And for the others, they realized that Deku is more similar to Nijiri than they thought. Well, take one to know one, I guess. Then Mirio tell him, great. So what is your plan for training? Well, we have 2 weeks. Deku shrug and tell him, I don't know. Then Nijiri tell them that he would train with me, like we always do. Mirio grin and tell her, like always, huh? Both of their faces turn red and Deku tell him, don't read too much into it. Mirio smile and tell him no promises. After that they had lunch, then they head back to their respective classrooms. Deku was the last one to enter the class because he was with the big three and the rest of their class. So he passed by Aizawa and tell him, you told me that I still have a place in the sports festival, am I right? Aizawa was shocked, but they tell him, yes. Good, Deku tell him, I will participate. Good, Aizawa tell him, now go to your seat. Deku nodded and he went to his seat, but for the rest, everyone is intrigued and want to know what caused Deku's sudden change. So fast forward the end of the day, and Deku is heading out, but he was stopped by some of his classmates asking him why did he change his mind. He told them he felt like it. After that he passed by his part-time job, then he went back to his house. But in the way he got a phone call from Ryuko. It's a bit late, so he's wondering what she need. He pick up and she tell him that she know what happened with Nijire and the sport festival. Then she tell him that she will send an offer to do an internship with her if he want. Deku completely forgot about the internship. Then he tell her if she send it, he will immediately take it. Ryuko left and tell him consider it done. Anyway, train hard and good night. Deku hangs up and let's say fast forward the next day. So like the teacher promised, they start looking at Deku. It's only one day, but they realize that he's quiet. Almost like Todoroki only talk when he have to. And I found out that Baku is always loud and cocky, the total opposite of Deku. Then later that day everyone split to train and Deku met up with Nijiri to do their own training. So, thinking about her quirk and how she use it, Nijiri is a long range fighter. Deku is a mix of both long range and close combat, but because of his influence and because they train a lot together, Nijiri starts learning hand-to-hand combat. So when they are fighting, they are not going 100%, but they are serious, with them flying around shooting keyblades at each other, and sometimes they switch to hand-to-hand combat because Nijiri have the upper hand in long range attack because she have more experience than Deku in this area. Like I said before, when they fight or train, Nijiri wins most of the time. So for the first week that was Deku's routine. School, training with Nijiri, then work. But he's doing something on the side. He's trying to access that power again. It was hard at first, but after a few days, he was able to use it at will. And he realized that this power is way powerful than his 100%. But a bit strenuous on the body. But it's not something that he cannot handle. And that made him think, if there is anything above this. And that was his goal for the rest of the 2 weeks, or 9 days. And by the way, when Deku starts sneaking off to train, it wasn't noticed by his classmate. Of course they need to train, but sometimes they follow him and see him meeting with Nijire. Then they start thinking, maybe she's the one who changed his mind? But unbeknownst to them, also Aizawa is keeping an eye out for him, not only because he's concerned about his power, but he's also intrigued about his relationship with the big three, especially with Nijire. This seems really close, and he starts asking himself why. So a couple of days before the sport festival, Deku of course is trained with Nijire, but they were stopped by Mirio and some of her classmates. Nijire asks them what they are doing here. Mirio tells her, just checking on you guys. So how the training is going? Fine, Nijire tell him. Then Mirio asks why Deku is not glowing like he did when he fought him. Deku tell him, we never went 100% in our training. So you never fought him at 100%? Mirio asks Nijire. Nijire start thinking, then she tell him that he only use it when we are training with Ryuko. So yeah, I never fought him one-on-one using his max power. So why did you just try it? Mirio tell her, no one will stop you. Niji looked at Deku and tell him, can we? Deku shrug and tell her, sure, why not? So they get in the position and Deku power up. And immediately she was shocked about increase in speed. She commented that his speed more than doubled. But she did fight some villains that were faster than her, so she's not completely in a back foot. But she's still having a hard time against him. She did her best with dodging and avoiding his attacks, and when she got a clean shot, she fired a Nijiri wave 30% at him. Deku did not dodge it. He stood firm and just swiped it away, like it was nothing. So he took the opportunity and charged at her. And because she was shocked with what he's done, Deku was able to tackle her to the ground and point a key blast to her face and tell her, I won this one. Deku stopped his attack and gave her a hand to get up. She took it, and after the initial shock, she was happy and started asking him multiple questions at the same time, basically going back to her old self. Then her classmates start walking toward them and congratulating Deku. But before they reach them, Nijiri's attack, that the one that Deku deflected, collided with a nearby mountain or just a pillar or something. For now, let's say mountain, and the reason I don't know how to call them is because cement to make them, so I don't know what to call them. Anyway, when the attack hit the mountain, it did severe damage to it. And when the group was just below it, a massive chunk of it just fell off. Niji yelled at them to watch out. Tamaki, yes, he's there. He was going to use his Kraken mode, but Deku beat it to it. Not only he's powered up, but he's using the dark blue power. And he completely destroyed the boulder. Everyone is left speechless. Then Deku fly down and asks, is everyone okay? They nod. Then tell them sorry. For what? They ask. She told them this boulder fall off because of me, because I deflected Nijiri's attack. So, I'm sorry. They tell him to not sweat it, no one got hurt, plus it was an accident. And they are safe because of him. So, thanks. Then Nijiri stand in front of him and ask him, since when he was able to use this power again. Tamaki tell her, again? She nod and tell him this is the same power that he used in the summer last year. So how are you able to use it again? And since when? He tell her, I think a week ago. I was able to use it on and off at will. And for the how? Well, I was trying to reach it again. She tell him, when? We almost spent all the time together. He tell her, well, all the time in school. I was training when I was done with my shift. Then she asked him how he was able to train even more after he was done training with her. Deku smirk and tell her, don't think that you are the only one that have monster stamina. And that make Nijiri giggle. Then Mirio tell him, sorry to interject your flirting, but I want to test that power for myself. So, can we fight? Both Deku and Nijiri blush. Then Deku tell him, sorry, but it's a bit too risky to use it right now. I don't want to repeat what happened just now. Sorry, maybe next time. And that take everyone off guard, except Nijiri. This is the first time they saw this side of Deku, the gentle and the one who cared about people first side. So they start to understand his mentality a bit, and why Nijiri is attracted to him this much. He's a good guy, a bit rough on the edges, but a good guy nonetheless. After that, nothing happened. So let's say fast forward to the end of the day. After Deku was done with his part-time job, he decided to check stock to see if they improve on any technique or create a new one that he can copy. So he go other side of town because villains are mostly there, and it's because of him. And the reason why, the villains know where Deku live, or his general area. And with what happened with Giant Gorilla in the summer, the villain decide to stay away from him because if they mess with him, they will be in a world of pain. So some of them did migrate to the other side of town, meaning the other side of town have more villains right now, meaning there is more heroes, and that means that someone have way more target to hit, and it's Stain. And because of how many heroes he already killed or badly hurt, everyone is keeping an eye out for him. So let's go back to Deku. He's on the roof of the building just checking if there is any heroes nearby until he sees one speeding. It's Ingenium. He decides to follow him, then he saw him turning suddenly. Deku realized that something must happen. So like he promised Ryuko, he decided to stay away from the fight, but close enough to see it. And what he saw shocked him to his core. He saw Stain holding a villain up in the air with his sword, and his sword is through his shoulder. Then when Ingenium joined the fight, Stain let go of the hero and decided to fight Ingenium instead. And when I say fight, I mean kill. So Ingenium tried his best, but Stain is relentless and powerful. Then after Stain was able to cut through Ingenium's armor and wounded him, then after he licked his blood and Ingenium fell to his knees, unable to move. Stain prepared himself to the finishing blow and tell him, goodbye fake hero. But before he stabbed him, he got punched square in the jaw, sending him flying to a nearby wall. And it's Deku. Stain said, what the? Who punched me? He looked at Izuku. You are a kid. What are you doing here? Go back home. Deku stand firm and tell him, yeah, not going to happen. Ingenium shot at Deku to leave is too dangerous. Deku looked at him and tell him, then get up and fight. If you can't, I will. because I will be a coward if I let someone die in front of me and do nothing. Both Stain and Ingenium are shocked. Stain starts laughing maniacally and tell him, "You kid, you're worth keeping alive. So I'll give you one last chance. Leave. I don't want to kill someone that have the potential to be a great hero." Deku smile and tell him, "I'm not leaving. You're fighting me now." Then he power up. And Deku can sense the malice coming from Stain. So this is what Ryuko was talking about. A real villain. I have to keep my guard up against him, or it will be the end of me. So Deku charged at Stain with blinding speed. Then he swung his sword at Deku. He was able to dodge it as well. And without wasting a beat, he delivered a furious kick to Stain that sent him flying. And the only thing Ingenium can say is, "What the? That was my move." And Deku, without wasting any time, he charged at Stain, firing some creep blast at him that Stain cannot dodge, following it with a furious gut punch that slams Stain against the ground. Ingenium is impressed. Same goes for Stain. Well, he's getting a beating, so he's trying to stay alive, because this kid is not holding back. So he decides to do the same. He throws some knives at Deku. Deku easily blocked them or dodged them, but Stain following it with a white swing, but Deku was able to dodge it with ease. And this time he kicks Stain up in the air, following it with a small dragon cannon that seemingly knocks Stain out. Ingenium is impressed. Same for the other hero. Then Ingenium realized that he can move again. He thought maybe he was knocked out, that's why. So he get up, he start walking to Deku and thank him for saving him. "Don't thank me, I was just in the right place in the right time," Deku tell him. "You're the one who jumped in to save the other hero." Ingenium smile, remove his mask and tell him, "Give yourself some credit, kid. If it wasn't for you, I would be dead." Same for the other hero. Deku tell him, "Speaking of him, he's badly hurt. I think you should call for a medic." Ingenium tell him, "All right." And he immediately call. And the second Ingenium end the call, he yelled at Deku to watch out. Deku looked behind him to see Stain swinging his sword. He wasn't ready for this, he cannot dodge it. But before the blade hit him, Ingenium seemingly appeared from nowhere, blocking the attack with his own body. And he's badly hurt. Deku catch him and tell him, "What did you do?" Ingenium smile and tell him, "My job, kid." Then Stain start going a bit more psycho than usual and tell them, "I will not be stopped by anyone except him, the only true hero, All Might." Deku got a flashback of his dream and started getting angrier and angrier. "You're telling me that you consider that freak, that buff clown, a real hero, the only real hero, while a hero right now just saved my life?" Deku's aura burst open and he started to get dark. He's using his dark blue power. "Answer me, if you consider that clown a hero, why do you call him?" Stain was shocked about Deku's power, his attitude, him calling All Might a clown, and the fact that Ingenium just saved his life, like a real hero should do. Deku, on the other hand, is enraged. He let out a scream and charged at Stain, and delivered a furious gut punch that makes Stain cough up some blood. Then he delivered another punch, then another, then another. He's not giving Stain any time to rest. Then he grabbed him by his hair and threw him up in the air and start firing a bunch of key blasts at him. Then he appeared above him, punching him with his full power, sending him flying into the ground. This time he's knocked out. Deku was going to check on him, is he really knocked out? But he was stopped by Ingenium coughing. He turned around to see him bleeding. Deku rushed at him and told him to hold on. Help will soon arrive. But he's losing too much blood. Deku started thinking, damn it, this is because of me. I let my guard down again. Then it clicked in Deku's head. I never tried this before, but if it worked on me, it should work on him, right? He put both of his hands on Ingenium's wound and started focusing his power. Please work, please work. Deku looked at the wound and it's working. The wound is starting to heal, and after a couple of seconds it's completely gone, but it still left a scar. Ingenium slowly opened his eyes. He looked at Deku, then he saw his wound and it's gone. He told Deku, "Kid, you just healed me. I guess you saved me again, huh?" Deku smiled and tell him, "Well, you did save me first, so..." Then he asked him where he's staying. Deku tell him he's there, knocked out. "And this time I'll make sure of it." "Good job, kid," Ingenium tell him. Then he tried to get up, but he wasn't able to. Deku tell him, "Stop moving. You lost a lot of blood. I was able to heal you, but you still need some rest." Ingenium smiled and tell him, "Yeah, I figured that much. By the way, if it's not too much, can you heal the other hero?" Deku tell him he will try. And he was able to heal him. His wounds were not as bad as Ingenium. After a couple of minutes, the cops arrived with the paramedic. The cops took Stain, and the paramedic checked on the heroes and Deku. The police were going to take Deku to ask him some questions, but Ingenium stopped them and tell them, "If you have any question, me and the other pro hero will answer them. This kid just went through a lot. Let him go home." The cop tell him it's fine, but we should call for your parents. Deku tell him, "You don't have to worry about that. I don't have parents, I live alone." And that shocked both of them. "Sorry kid," the cop tell him. "I will give you a ride home. Come on. It's pretty late." Deku nod. Before he walk away, Ingenium tell him, "Take care, kid, and thank you once again." Deku smile and tell him, "Thank you for being a real hero." Then Deku got inside the cop car and he took him home. And when Deku arrived to his house, this part ends here. So what do you think of it, guys? Will the news about Stain getting defeated by a kid spread? What will happen to Deku? Leave your thoughts in comments down below. And if you enjoyed the video, drop a like, it helped me a lot. And if you're new, subscribe, there is more videos like this coming. And like always guys, peace.